The views and opinions of the guests do not reflect the views and opinions of the hosts. Furthermore, the views and opinions of the hosts do not reflect the views and opinions of the show, the management of this page, and the affiliations of the hosts. Alright, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat mula dito sa Singapore. Welcome po muli sa isa na namang gabi na makabuluhan at napapanahong talakayan. Ito po ang Weekends with Rated J. Sa ngalan po ni Dazilin Zapata Pinlac, ako po si June Rigunan, ang programang ginawa para sa mga overseas Filipino mula sa Kapwa Overseas Filipino. Ito po ay napapanood ng live tuwing Sabado sa tulong na rin po ng teknolohiya at ng social media. Magandang gabi po sa lahat ng mga nanonood dito sa Singapore. Magandang umaga naman dyan sa Canada partner kung nasan ka man ngayon. Sana makapasok ka na. At ang magandang araw po sa lahat ng viewers natin all over the world. Maraming salamat po sa inyong patuloy na pagtitiwala. Ako po si June Rigunan. Good evening everyone. Good evening po sa lahat. It's a rainy Saturday. Umuulan ba dyan sa labas ngayon? Ayan. So sana samahan nyo kami para sa ating interview kay Ambassador Yap. Pero for more updates, please like and share our social media accounts. Ito po ang ating mga social media accounts na Rated J Official sa Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and of course, pwede ho kayong magtanong sa amin sa pamamagitan po ng ating email address na ratedjofficial@gmail.com. Ayan. Nako. Nasaan na ba si partner? Nako, ang bilis nga ng panahon. Nagko-cover pa nga lang ako ng election a few months ago. At eto nga, may bago na tayong presidente sa Pilipinas. Kaakibat nga niyan, nagtapos na rin ang term ni Ambassador Joseph Del Mar Yap bilang siya isang political appointee ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. At bago niya iiwan ang ni Ambassador Yap ang Singapore, isang exclusive interview muna ang ibinigay niya sa atin sa ating programa na Weekends with Rated J. Mga ka-Rated J, panoorin natin ang interview ko kay Ambassador Joseph Del Mar Yap. Panoorin niyo po. Karangalan na mapagbigyan muli tayo sa isang panayam ni Ambassador Joseph Del Mar Yap at sa pagkakataong ito para sa isang exclusive one-on-one interview. Magtatapos na ang termino ni Ambassador Yap sa Singapore, ngunit bago niya tayo iwan dito sa Singapore, balikan natin ang mga mahahalagang pangyayari sa nakalipas na mahigit na 4 na taon niya dito sa Singapore. Panoorin natin to. Unang naging special envoy to Singapore si Joseph Del Mar Yap bago siya tuluyang naging ambassador noong 2018. Mahigit 4 na taon siyang nagsilbing ama ng mga Pilipino sa bansang Singapore. Napakahalaga ng kanyang naging papel sa pag-alala ng ika-50 anibersaryo ng bilateral relations ng Pilipinas at Singapore noong 2019. Napuno ng masasayang kaganapan na mas lalong nagpaigting sa pagkakaibigan ng dalawang bansa. Ngunit tila sinubok ng panahon ang pagkakaibigan sa pagdating ng pandemya. At sa panahong kinailangan ng tulong ng Pilipinas, naging malaking bahagi si Amba sa pagkakaloob ng gobyerno ng Singapore ng tulong para sa ating bayan. At sa pagtatapos ng kanyang biyahe sa bansang naging pangalawang tahanan na ng mahigit kumulang 200,000 na Pilipino, baon niya ang mga alaalang tumatak hindi lamang sa kanyang puso, kundi pati na rin sa puso ng mga Pilipino sa Singapore. Maraming salamat, Ambassador Joseph Del Mar Yap. At isang malaking karangalan na makakausap natin ngayon, of course, ang ating nag-iisang Ambassador Joseph Del Mar Yap. Good evening, sir. Magandang gabi. And of course, we would like to congratulate you also for your Order of Sikatuna Award. Congratulations, sir. Bago ka umalis ng Singapore, may humabol pa na award para sa inyo, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for your congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, sige, let's go back 4.5 years ago. January 5, 2018 to be very exact, if my date is correct, when President Duterte entrusted Singapore, or the Embassy of Singapore, to you. Can you share us, sir, what was that marching order then of President Duterte when it comes to being the Ambassador of the Republic of the Philippines here in Singapore?
Marching orders for basically were twofold, you know. One was really to continue to strengthen the bilateral relations between the Philippines and Singapore. While it was already strong, it was chance to further strengthen it. So in the areas of trade and investment, security and defense cooperation, pati na rin cultural and people-to-people exchange. So that was the area that I wanted to do. The other thing is, of course, to protect and support the welfare of our kababayans here in Singapore. As you mentioned, we have about more or less 200,000 nationals dito. So my main purpose was to improve ang service natin that we're delivering to them and try to see how we can support them further. So yun basically marching orders natin.
And it has something to do also, sir, with your past experience being someone in the in the commercial industry, kung kaya't.
Yeah, I'm coming kasi from the private sector, so I'm not a career diplomat. But in a sense, I think medyo that's an advantage in a post like Singapore, because alam naman natin, Singapore is a very busy, commercial,
highly commercialized
trading and investment hub. So it allowed me to also tap into yung mga contacts ko before, and so it allowed me to very early on start already being able to accomplish some of yung tasks na gusto ko to accomplish.
Kumbaga perfect fit ka talaga, sir, para sa during this period of time, no? Sir, let's go back a few months. How was your first few months in Singapore? Was it easy to adjust, or kasi syempre ang Singapore very fast-paced, very metropolitan. How was the adjustment, sir, on the first few months?
Adjustment naman to Singapore was not that difficult because I've been naman going back and forth to Singapore during my business career. What was a little bit more challenging is yung adjustment to the job as ambassador. Well, as I mentioned, I'm not naman a career diplomat, so diplomacy, the job of an ambassador, was something new to me. But what made it a little bit more challenging was that during the first few months, Singapore in 2018 was the chair for ASEAN. So there were so many meetings and so many activities related to ASEAN at the time. And in April of 2018, there was an ASEAN summit where all of the leaders of the 10 ASEAN countries met here. So si President Duterte came in April, and as a result, we were very busy. And not only that, we also had a PhilCom meeting for him with 6,000 Filipinos.
Wow. So was it that difficult, sir, adjusting as a diplomat this time from coming from?
I have to be thankful that I had a very supportive team, in the embassy at that time, and I continue to have a very supportive team. So really, with the team effort, we were really able to pull it off, and we were able to accomplish what we wanted to accomplish.
Sir, after a year, it was the 50th anniversary of the bilateral relations. How significant is this to you, sir?
I think at the time that it was happening, I didn't think too much about it. But now that I'm at the end of my tour of duty, I feel that that year was really, I would would say, probably the highlight of my tour here in Singapore, because we did 28 commemorative activities during that time, and there were many very major events. One of which is the restoration of the Alcaf Bridge.
Right.
The other was, of course, the state visit of President Halima Yacon to the Philippines. And then the other one that's also very, very, that I'm very proud of is the fact that we were able to enter into a loan agreement with Singapore for lending them a pair of endangered Philippine eagles that are now in Jurong Bird Park. Singapore is the only country in the world that the Philippines has entered into such an agreement, and hopefully in the 10-year period that they're supposed to be here, they'll be able to reproduce and maybe have a couple of babies.
But how was the preparation, sir, during the 50 years, kasi 50th anniversary? Kasi you mentioned 2018 was ASEAN, so everyone was so busy, I suppose. And then suddenly, eto 2019 na. Take us back to that moment, sir. How busy was it? Especially, I guess, yung political or yung cultural departments ng embassy. How was the planning? How was the preparation for all of this?
Actually, I have to say a lot of the planning, we started quite early. I think siguro late 2018, very early 2019, we were already planning out the schedule. But I have to say, some of the activities came later. We thought about them only later. No? But then of course, like the state visit of the president, depended naman yun a lot on the schedule of the president of Singapore. So that one, while we were asking her to schedule a state visit, it was not clear the exact date, etc., until a few months before. But as I said, I think a lot of it was really I have a very good team here, and they work really hard to get things done. Iba't ibang klaseng activities kasi yun. Some were political, some were cultural, some were people to people, some were business. So in that sense, it was also shared among the different teams of the embassy. So we were able to get it done. For example, the first activity that we did was in fact to design yung logo. And that logo was done together with the Singapore Embassy in the Philippines. We held a parang design contest to see who would come up with the best design. And that was very early in 2019. And of course, a Filipino was the one who won that design. So that's the one that we used for the whole year as the icon for the 50th anniversary.
But yung coffee table, sir, was it supposed to be 2019 or it's supposed to be 2020?
The coffee table book was supposed to be done siguro early 2020.
Okay.
After everything was done na. But,
Commemorative kasi yun,
yeah,
no?
it's commemorative, so we will cover everything. Eh, nabutan tayo ng COVID as a result by early 2020. So, na-delay yung actual work, getting everything together. At saka, because of COVID, it wasn't priority project anymore. Really trying to help yung mga kababayans natin who were affected by COVID, the ones who were lost their work and were repatriated. That became the priority, syempre, in 2020 It was only later in 2021 that we were able to go back to the project and then work on it, and then we were able to finally launch it late 2021 in November.
So, do you have any favorite among all these activities na ginawa noong 50 years na yun? And of course, what do you think would be something na people would always remember?
I have to say I have two favorites.
Okay.
Yung favorite ko talaga is Alcaf Bridge. That's why in the coffee table book you will see. It's really front and center talaga yung Alcaf Bridge. The reason for that is because, number one, it's very iconic. Ang ganda-ganda talaga ng the artwork on and very unusual. Especially among the bridges here in Singapore, syempre unique siya. No? But more importantly is the story behind it, that it was done by the late Pasita Abad, because she wanted to do it as a gift to the Singapore people. And she did it well. Then she got sick, and then she did. She passed away right after it was done. So it's a very important story, and it's worth remembering, and that it should not be forgotten. 10 years from now, kung the painting will fade again, maybe we should still work on trying to restore it. Otherwise, if it's painted over, parang sayang na wala yung ano. It's very important because we're celebrating that year, the 50th anniversary, and it's really a bridge, right? It's a bridge between Philippines and Singapore. It's very symbolic. So that, for me, is very iconic, very important project. The other one is I still feel that the lending of the two endangered Philippine eagles to Singapore is a very also important project. I'm told by the Jurong Bird Park that they've been trying to work on it since the 1980s. They've been requesting to get a couple of birds on loan it's really more like a program to protect them because they're really endangered in the Philippines. The habitat is being destroyed, and then they're being hunted. So I think in the whole of Philippines, there's only like 200 or 300 pairs of them left. So the fact that we were able to do this after so many years of waiting, I think is also a very good achievement, especially during the 50th anniversary of our bilateral relations.
And both of these activities talagang kinover namin ni partner Das yung mga events na to, and hindi namin talaga makakalimutan din, sir, itong dalawang events na to. So yung bang birds, when are they going back to the Philippines? Are they going back in the next few years?
No,
or
kasi 2019, and then the agreement is for 10 years.
I see.
So
Okay.
2029. So the idea is hopefully that they will give birth to a baby eagle, and then but even the baby eagles, eventually all of them will be returned to the Philippines. So talagang is just on loan. But I have to say Singapore naman is very advanced in terms of their taking care of the animals, the birds, their zoos, their bird park is very advanced. So we can learn a lot also from them in terms of taking care of the birds. So, kasi in the Philippines, yung eagles naman is actually being taken care of by a foundation, yung Philippine Eagle Foundation in Davao, which is supported mostly by private companies. So private companies there will adopt an eagle and pay for the support for the eagle. So challenge din yung budget. So in a sense, if we're able to get a couple of eagles here who will be able to be taken care of, protected, and then hopefully multiply here, it's a good win-win situation.
So sundutan ko lang ng kaunti yung sinabi niyo about the Alcaf Bridge, because ngayon ko lang din actually na-realize na ang dami palang symbolism talaga nila, no? Sino ang nakapag-isip nun, sir, na i-restore yun? Who had that so much great idea of restoring it?
Nag-start yan kasi I heard about it because the husband of the late Pasita Abad is living in the US.
Okay.
And he talked to, I think he may have talked to one of the officers here in the embassy, that he had heard from, I forget which agency of the government in Singapore, that they might paint it over na nga because the artwork is already faded, and then wala din naman silang plano to restore it, wala din silang pera to restore it. So I think it may have been Gonar who mentioned to me, who was a cultural
officer during that time.
So I wrote to the MFA about it and to ask them why it should not be restored. And then MFA then set up a committee chaired by Ambassador Tomiko, and culture on the Philippine side was si former Finance Secretary Lito Camacho to come up with a committee to raise funds so that the bridge can be restored. So we worked together with them. The embassy supported them. We also helped raise funds. So we were very quickly able naman to raise the necessary funds. And then Singapore also has a program. Marami naman silang support for these kinds of things. Merong matching fund coming from the Singapore government. So whatever was raised, the Singapore government contributed an equal amount. So as a result, the money was raised quickly, so the work was restored. And we were able to finish it on time and open it in 2019.
So perhaps almost 2 years of your term dito sa Singapore, talaga namang it was covered during that pandemic. How difficult was it to lead a community in the midst of this very challenging pandemic? And what was your greatest challenge?
I think our biggest challenge initially was really, of course, everybody was unfamiliar with COVID, with the virus. I mean, all we saw were just a lot of reports, but nobody really knew what it was, how bad it was, or how easy it was to catch it. So our first concern was, of course, our kababayans here, what will happen to them if they get sick, who will take care of them. The Philippine government will have to come up with a budget kaya to take care of them and so on. But I think, luckily for us, and this we have to thank the Singapore government. The Singapore government was very clear from the very start that all residents of Singapore will be taken care of, and they will be sent to the hospital without having to pay for anything. So that was a load of our minds. But even then, we were concerned about our Filipino nationals getting sick. So we worked out an arrangement with the MOH that they will advise us every day of if there is a Filipino who catches COVID, who tests positive for COVID. They would not give us the name or the details, but they will tell us that there is. And then what they'll do, we told them to give them our contact details. Now, so if they need help, if they want any request or anything, they can contact us. So they did that naman. So every now and then, may tatawag sa amin to ask for assistance or to let their NOK know. Kasi if you recall, at that time, if you had COVID, you're really isolated. You cannot have any visitors. You cannot go out. You cannot have anybody stay with you. So you are talagang out of touch with the world.
Right.
But they're able to call my cell phone sila. So we're able to help them. So then, going forward, our next priority was, of course, taking care naman of our kababayans who lost their jobs as a result of COVID. So that was the second part of the issue, was how to take care of them and then how to repatriate them. Because initially, early in 2020, middle of 2020, there were no flights. All the flights were canceled. So we had to work out some arrangements with local airlines as well as some Singapore airlines to do some special flights to fly them home. So I think we were able to fly home more than 2,000 repatriates to the Philippines, and then also may mga seafarers there also who had to be repatriated, were disembarked here in Singapore, so we had to work on that as well. So it was very busy, it was very hectic. Our embassy officers and staff would have to go to the airport to accompany, to make sure lang that the repatriation went smoothly and so on. But once we got the hang of it, then things were not as hectic anymore.
So what would you consider, sir, as your greatest challenge during that period? Perhaps even personally. Kasi syempre kayo din, hindi kayo nakauwi ng ilang buwan.
Yeah.
So how tough was it during that 2020 period?
I think it was very tough. I think particularly for me because my family is not with me here. So before I was just traveling back and forth when it was possible. But initially in 2020, I was stuck here by myself. But so the challenge really was that during the lockdown, particularly, it is really quite stressful. No? But because of the work naman that we were doing, we were able to overcome that stress. And then during the circuit breaker, we continue naman to hold some operations, not as normal, but at least we continue to do as much as we could during that period of time. But I'm really glad that we were able to assist as many as possible. And then every now and then may mga special requests, especially for seafarers, meron silang mga ships coming to Singapore, they want to disembark, so we have to coordinate with the Singapore authorities to allow them to get off so they can be repatriated to the Philippines. So yeah, it was a tough time, but I'm glad naman that we were able to do it with as little, I guess, hassle as possible for everybody concerned.
But were there projects, sir, that had to be reprioritized or canceled, or perhaps it has to be put on parking lot muna because of during the pandemic, or during this time of pandemic?
I think during the time of pandemic, in 2020 actually, I don't know if most people know, we actually received a memo from Manila that we had to cut our expenses by 45%.
Wow.
So there was already like, maybe after already start of COVID, so maybe around April, May, we were told, okay, for the rest of the year, you have to cut your budget by 45%. So we did that. So we reduced the security guards here, we reduced the security guard in the residence, we cut many things. So many of our projects that we had planned to do in 2020 were, of course, then wala na. No? We actually had, for example, planned to, at that time we already got the budget to buy a new van for the embassy operations because we always have like ATM cases. We need to go to court. We need to go visit our kabarayans in prison. So our existing van is medyo luma na. So we got approval actually. We already had a budget for it, but we couldn't spend it because DBM did not release the money because of COVID. And so those were the things that got delayed. But many of the things that were delayed, eventually naman we were able to get them done in late 2021 and 2022. The only thing we haven't done yet is the ban. The ban has finally been approved. We're told the money will be released any day now, but I will not be able to see the ban anymore since so another thing
But are there current projects in the pipeline, sir, that you could probably share with our viewers? I know one of it is the Chancery. Do we have other projects aside from the Chancery? And siguro umpisa natin, sir, with the Chancery. A few weeks ago, we've had the groundbreaking of the Chancery. I understand from your officer, sir, that by the end of the year, tama po ba, sir, that we will be leaving this area, or kailan po yung schedule of activities?
Tentatively, the schedule is by the end of this year. Once we get all the necessary approvals from the Singapore authorities, syempre you need to get all your permits, etc. Get all your plans approved, etc. Then once that's approved, then we can start with the demolition of the existing building, which means that the Chancery will be transferred temporarily to another location, which we are still scouting for. And then it will probably take about 2 years to build a new Chancery, and the will return here. The embassy will return to this place. So that is the tentative plan at this time. But as I said, a lot of work still needs to be done because we still need to do the plans. Wala pa naman the final plans. Now, other things that we have in the pipeline. Number one is we're actually working out the system where if you renew your passport, you have the option that you can request for the passport to be mailed to you instead of
Coming over and-
again. No?
Right.
Minsan kasi our kababayan, especially maybe the professionals, they don't necessarily want to take half a day
Right.
just to come back to pick up their passport. So it can be arranged, it can be mailed to them. So we've already done pretty far in terms of the arrangements. A draft contract with a prospective supplier, provider, who has gone through the qualification process is now with Manila for review by Manila. So if it's approved by the department and it is signed, then it can start already. So I think that would be an additional improvement in the service. Again, though, it's optional, so it's not required that everybody do it. Another thing that we will be doing is we are working on having an automated queuing system. So when our clients with appointments come here, they can just go to the queuing system,
And they
queue in either their appointment number or their
IC.
maybe. Then they'll get a queue number. Then they can go na to the consular area instead of having to go to the reception area. So that will, improve the flow.
Pero patuloy pa rin, sir, yung online appointment until
Yeah.
now. We will not stop that.
Yeah.
That will still continue.
Because it works.
It
You
works.
should have appointment system. You cannot allow yung walk in at any time, because what will happen is that it will be chaotic because you're not sure when you come that there's no 50 people in front of you. Whereas with an appointment system, alam mo, that's your exact time. And one of the things that we were able to improve is that we've been able to reduce the appointment time for passport renewal from, in the past it was in months, you had to wait months just to
Right.
get an appointment. Now, if you go to the site today, you can get an appointment within 1 week.
Right.
That's really something I wanted to improve. Because before I came, I was told by some of my Singaporean friends that their worker had to renew, and it took 3 months to get an appointment, so they had to fly her na lang to Manila to renew her passport. So I'm glad we were able to do it.
Right. Congratulations for that, sir. Sir, how significant is this project to you bago ka umalis, sir? And talagang si SFA pa mismo ang pumunta dito para gawin itong groundbreaking. How important is this project?
Oh, it's a major project talaga. I think, I have to say, it's even maybe beyond my original dreams when I first came here. Because when I first came here, what I wanted to do lang is knowing how limited yung area natin, workspace. I wanted to be able to expand a little bit lang to add more space. So I looked around what to do. I, in fact, even asked for some consultants to take a look at it and draw up some plans. But at the end of the day, we couldn't really find a good way of doing it. No? So tried kind of that sidetrack. And then, of course, COVID happened, so that sidetrack then. But we were able to meet kasi pre-COVID, we were able to meet with an architectural firm who had a Filipino architect in charge. And he was able to help us get in touch with the Singapore authorities to be able to see what was the best way of doing this and how we can do it as seamlessly and as quickly as possible. So working through that company, we were able to find at least a way forward in terms of how we can build a new chancery. So, but as I said, a lot of it still depends on getting the design, drawing up the plans, etc. But what is critical at least is once we have this, we were able now to get budget approval from the department. So we have the funds set aside already for this project, and then we will now immediately start on designing, coming up with the plans, getting the approval from the necessary Singapore authorities, then starting the project.
So by the end of this year, sir, mag-uumpisa na, I mean, most likely lilipat na ang embassy sa Pope by the end of this year. Sir, meron ba tayong nakikitang lugar within Orchard area? Or, kasi syempre yung mga kababayan natin, di ba, mas gusto nila na kahit papano within the area sana.
Yeah. Definitely, doon tayo naghanap ngayon. We're looking for areas where that can accommodate our space requirement. Not too expensive, but still very, very accessible. So that's what we're looking for. And also and we will make more detailed announcements once by specific dates now. So for now, that's just an indicative date. But the time, once we have the specific dates, I'm sure they will make the proper announcement in our website and in the Facebook.
And of course, we will have to also communicate that through our page, sir. Most likely, pag ipinapalabas na po itong episode na ito, baka nasa Pilipinas na po kayo by then. Sir, how would you want to be remembered as an ambassador here in Singapore?
Well, I guess I guess two things. I would like to be remembered as somebody who was able to hopefully improve the service here in the embassy, no matter how little, but at least I was able to improve and make our service more efficient and more accessible. So I hope I've been able to do that in at least a small way. And then, of course, in terms of our bilateral relations with Singapore, I would like to be remembered as somebody who actually was able to further strengthen our relations. I believe that I was able to help strengthen our relations in the trade and investment side, no? Because part of our 50th anniversary was we started this annual Philippine-Singapore Business and Investment Summit, where we would invite cabinet secretaries to come to Singapore to make presentations to the business community here. And the first one was in 2019, where 5 cabinet secretaries came over and then a presentation to about 300 Singaporean businessmen. Unfortunately, with COVID, yung second and third were basically 2020 wala, but 2021 and 2022 we were able to do it, but
Online.
virtual lang, online. But still, we were able to invite, for example, the BSP Governor, Secretary of Finance, Secretary of Trade to be the presenters. So we hope that by doing that, we have encouraged more future investments in the Philippines and Singapore.
And complementary to that, sir, is yung pagkakatatag nga ng Philippine Chamber of Commerce sa Singapore. I would say that this is one of probably your dream projects ever since, sir. And now it has started. How do you feel about it, sir? Kasi nakikita ko talaga, sir, na pagdating sa PhilCham, it's something that is pretty special to you, sir.
Yeah, I have to say, I have to be you're right. Thank you for bringing it up. I'm very proud that we have now a PhilCham. The thought came to me in 2018 when I was new lang. I attended some lunch, and many of the representatives were from the British Chamber, American Chamber. And I was saying, bakit walang PhilCham dito sa Singapore? So there really was no PhilCham, so I said, we should try to set up one. No? So early on we tried na, but it was slow in the beginning. We were working hard, but it was kind of slow. And then of course COVID did not help, but eventually we were able to get a core group going, and you know, key movers like Christy, Vicentina,
Tots.
Jackson, they were really the driving force. You know, well, and I have started the ball rolling. They really were the ones that got it accomplished in the end. So I'm very happy that there is now a field champ. And I wish them all the success. And I hope, and I'm sure they will grow even bigger by inviting more members. Even Singapore companies who are doing business in the Philippines or are interested to do business in the Philippines. We can be more effective and more
Organized. Yeah. And yun nga, last week, sir, we've already had our first session, our first project, and it was a success. I mean, napakasaya, and it was a very informative session that we had with all the guests that we had from the Philippines, sir. Sir, okay, ngayon gusto sana namin ipakita sa iyo yung ilan sa mga greetings and mga gustong sabihin ng Filipino community sa iyo, sir. So eto po, panoorin natin, sir.
Greetings from the Philippines to His Excellency Ambassador Joseph Del Yap. Thank you for all your support and guidance for Philippine National Bank Singapore and for the Philippine Chamber of Commerce in Singapore. Thank you for sharing the stage with us during the recent diplomatic reception that was truly a beautiful and an inspiring moment for all of us. If there's one event that I always wanted to look back, is the tree planting of narrow trees at Bishan Park. In fact, during the pandemic, I went back to the same park to locate the Philippine marker, and it was a proud moment to find the Philippine marker inside the Bishan Park in Singapore. All the best, Ambassador, and sana gumaling na ako and makascore na ako ng below 100 para I can be at par with your beginner level.
Hello, Amba. As you end for your journey being the ambassador of the Philippines in Singapore, I personally would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation and thanks for all the support that you had extended to the Filipino and the business community here in Singapore. It was truly an honor, a privilege, and we're very grateful for all the support and to have you as our dear ambassador. Thank you so much for your service to the Filipino community, and I wish you continuous success and of course, good health together with your beautiful family. Again, maraming salamat po. No goodbyes for now, Amba, but we will see you again.
To Ambassador Yap, maraming salamat po, sir, sa lahat ng support na binigay ninyo sa Filipino community, lalong-lalo na sa Philippine radiographers in Singapore. Thank you. God bless and all the best in the next step of your career.
On behalf of the Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers Singapore chapter, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you, Your Excellency Ambassador Joseph Del Yap, for your generous support which you have consistently given to our organization. I also take this opportunity to wish good blessings, success, and good health to you and your family. All the best to you, sir. Mabuhay and God bless you always.
In behalf of OFW Kindness Movement Group, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude for all the good deeds you give to Filipino community. We see a lot of improvement in our embassy during your service here as our ambassador. Naalala ko pa ang humble approach mo sa aming mga simpleng manggagawa. Napaka down to earth po ninyo. Sa tagal namin dito sa Singapore, ngayon ko lang nakita ang fairly treatment. Binibigyan ng halaga ang hinaing ng bawat manggagawa. Lalong napatunayan ang galing ninyo ngayong may pandemic. As one of the leader of PhilCom, Nabigyan kami ng pagkakataon na makasuporta sa bawat aktibidad ng embahada. Thank you for everything and we love you. Mag-iingat po kayo palagi at bigyan pa kayo ng Panginoong Diyos ng mas malakas at malusog pang pangangatawan na makapanilbihan sa kapwa Pilipino. Maraming salamat po.
Good morning, Amba. I'm sitting here at the airport and getting ready to go back to Singapore on what is your last week. I'd like to thank you for the last few years that you've been with us. You've been amazing and you've been a wonderful father to the entire Filipino community in Singapore. Thank you for being my hero. I've told this to you many, many times and I can't say it enough. Thank you for helping all of us, for giving us comfort, for also giving us a lot of innovations like the shuttle and making our lives much easier. And most of all, for being with us at the most crucial time in our lives to date. Without you and the Singapore Embassy team behind us, I think all of us would have been very sad and very lonely. But thanks to you, we felt like we had family even in a foreign land. So thank you. Best wishes on your future endeavors. We will always be friends. We will always take care of one another no matter where in the world we are. And I speak for my family when I say wherever Team Locsin Chan is, you and your family are welcome. Thank you again and have a great year ahead. Bye.
Sir, it has been a real pleasure to have the opportunity to meet you while I was in Singapore and working as a news stringer. You've been really an inspiring father for us all there in Singapore. Lagi ko pong sinasabi na napaka-approachable po ninyo, ang napakagaan po ninyong kausap at lalo na noong panahon ng pandemya, talaga namang nakakatuwa na meron kaming ama na maituturing habang nandiyan sa Singapore na siniguro ang kapakanan ng mga Pilipino na nandiyan sa Singapore. Sa tatapos po ng inyong term dyan sa Singapore, I wish you the very best. I wish you peace and happiness with your family and loved ones. At kung saan po kayo susunod na mapupunta, I hope that I will still get another chance to work alongside you at makapagsulong pa ng mga proyekto sa kapakanan ng mga kababayan po natin. All the best po and again, maraming salamat po sa inyong serbisyo.
Okay, sir, anything you want to say to the Filipino community who will be definitely missing you a lot?
I really have to say that it has been an honor and a privilege to have served as the ambassador here. I have been successful only because I also have gotten a lot of support from the community, of course from the team in the Philippine Embassy. And I always say, and I always maintain, that it's really working as a team that we will succeed in achieving our objectives. So I would like sana that even if I'm no longer here, that you, the Filipino community here in Singapore, the Philippine Embassy, continue to work closely together. Because I think there's many things that can be achieved if we all work together. And there will always be challenges and there will always be obstacles, but I think they can always be overcome with hard work and with team effort. So again, it's really been an honor to have served as the ambassador here. And And the last 4.5 years, with all of the challenges, are still one of the best periods of my life. So I'm very happy to serve. I'm a bit sad to be leaving, but like anything in life, there's always a time for everything, and now is the time to finish my term and to go home and do hopefully something new.
We normally don't see you quite emotional, but I sense that, yung pakiramdam mo ngayon, sir, medyo mixed emotion, I would say. Leaving Singapore is a little bit, kasi it has been for your home for more than 4 years, and it has been like literally ups and downs. Yung lahat ng mga pinagdaanan natin, lahat na siguro ng pinakamahihirap na pwedeng pagdaanan napagdaanan na natin nitong for the past 4.5 years that you were with us, sir. Sir, you've mentioned that things has been easy for you because you have a lot of people under you who are very competent and very good people. But as a leader, how would you describe yourself, sir? Are you the strict type? Are you the kasi parang narinig ko sa mga iba, sir, yung kayo ay tahimik lang pero very keen to details. How would you describe your leadership style, sir?
I wouldn't say naman that I'm a very strict boss. I'm more, I would describe myself, I'm more results oriented. As long as we agree on what is the objective, the goals that we want to accomplish, and I can see naman from the way you're working that you know what you're doing, and you're able to show that you're capable of doing it. I'm quite happy to leave everything to you, the actual details. I'm a little bit sometimes careful on the details if I'm not certain, or I've seen in the past that kulang yung detail, your attention to details or whatever. So it's important to pay attention to details, especially here in the diplomatic, syempre, in the diplomatic side of the embassy. You have to be very careful. Every letter that you send out, you have to make sure that you're addressing the person properly. Tama yung spelling ng pangalan niya. So in that sense, for those kinds of things, I'm actually careful. And I also, if something is sent out in my name, then I would like to make sure also that
You read through it.
Yeah, I read through it and it's proper English and proper spelling.
Right.
But I'm not a very I'm not a taskmaster in the sense that I'm hovering over you all the time. But I am results oriented, so I would like to see the results. But more importantly, I think somebody mentioned before, I try to be open. So I try to open myself to feedback. So I'm open to people telling me that I'm wrong, but explain to me why I'm wrong, and if I believe that, if I understand and I agree with it, then I will correct.
Speaking of feedback, sir, let's listen to ano nga ba yung feedback ng staff ng embassy kay Ambassador Joseph Del Mar Yap. Panoorin natin to, sir.
What? Oh, the ambassador. Yeah, Ambassador Joseph Del Mar Yap. He's leaving us soon as the head of mission of the Philippines in Singapore. I consider the ambassador as the Polaris, no? The North Star. No, when we are lost, he is always there to give us guidance. He always strike a balance, no, between all the sections and the attached agencies. He always considers the inputs, no, of each and every one. Thank you for everything. Though we had a very short stint that we had worked together, I learned a lot. We bid you good luck on the next chapter of your life.
Maraming salamat po, Ambassador, sa inyong leadership dito sa embahada ng Pilipinas sa Singapore. Litaw po sa inyong pakikitungo sa amin at sa ating mga kababayan ang inyong hangarin na makapagsilbi at ang inyong busilak na puso. Isang karangalan po na ako ay natuto sa inyo at kayo po ay naging boss. Sapagkat ikaw po ay isang tao na nananatiling mapagkumbaba at bukas na matuto sa kabila ng inyong mga tagumpay sa buhay. I wish you all the best and I hope that I will be able to work with you soon in the future. Thank you po and bye!
It's truly been an honor to have had Ambassador Yap as my very first ambassador boss. Under the short year and a half that I have worked under him, I have known Amba as a person of integrity, and he has a very strong commitment to vision and service. Ang pinaka hindi ko makakalimutan kay Amba ay ang kanyang pagiging hands-on sa ating embassy operations and his commitment to really improve our services for our kababayans. So on behalf of the consular team, I'd like to thank you, Amba, for your deft and one-of-a-kind guidance and leadership. Kami po ay magsusumikap na ipagpatuloy at pagpabuti pa ang ating mga nasimulan. So I wish you well and may God bless you even more. Thank you very much, Amba.
Si Ambassador Joseph Yap ay isang huwarang lingkod ng bayan. In his short stint as a public servant and a diplomat, I must say that his words and actions are worthy of emulation for a junior officer like myself. Hindi ko makakalimutan sa kanya ang pagiging mahinahon sa kabila ng hamon at krisis na lalong nabigyang diin noong panahon ng pandemya. Salamat po, Amba, sa mabuting pamumuno at sa mahigit 4 na taon na serbisyo para sa bayan at para sa mga kababayan natin po dito sa Singapore. Sa muli pong pagkikita.
Si Amba ay isang huwarang pinuno ng embahada ng Pilipinas dito sa Singapore. We could not have asked for a more competent, driven, and appreciative head of post. Hindi ko malilimutan kay Amba yung suporta, malasakit, at pag-intindi na ipinakita niya sa akin bilang bagong labat. If there is one thing I regret in having served Polo Singapore, it is that I had very limited time to work with and for Ambassador Yap. Rest assured, Amba, that I will always remember your words that serving the Filipino people is a real privilege. Mabuhay po kayo, sir. We will miss you.
Hi sir, I just want to say thank you for the support you have given to Polo Singapore, and personally I just want to thank you for accepting me here to be part of the family of Polo Singapore, and I wish you luck, sir. May God bless you more.
Si Ambassador Joseph Yap is a very objective person, kalmado lang lagi, at very democratic ang approach. Democratic in the sense na involves others in the decision-making process. Ang isang hindi ko makakalimutan kay Amba ay was when he gamely participated dun sa dance video last year, no? Yung Feel Good Pilipinas. Siyempre hindi buo at maganda ang presentation kung hindi kasama ang ating ama ng ating embahada, ang ating mahal na ambassador. Maraming salamat po, Amba, sa maayos at magandang pamamahala, lalo na pagdating sa spending, no, very prudent. Isa po kayong huwarang ehemplo sa aming lahat na kahit po kayo ay nasa tuktok sa antas ng lipunan, kayo po ay kaya naming maabot at malapitan. Padayon, Amba, and amping kanunay po.
Si Ambassador Yap ay isang malaking inspirasyon at isa siyang visionary. Hindi ko makakalimutan ang mga proyektong nagawa niya para sa ating kapwa Pilipino dito sa Singapore. Maraming salamat po, Ambassador, para sa inyong serbisyong tapat at mamimiss po namin kayo.
Si Amba ay mabait, very open siya, madaling lapitan. Hindi ko makakalimutan sa kanya ang pagiging mabait na boss. Salamat, Amba, sa lahat. For trusting me also in my work. always ready to listen. Naging madali sa akin working with you.
Amba is quiet yet very observant. I will not forget his keenness to details and his good memories. I would like to thank you, Amba, for the wonderful 4 years of being a thoughtful and hardworking leader. I will always be grateful to have worked alongside with you, sir.
Si Ambassador Joseph Del Yap ay isang extraordinaryong ambassador. Extraordinary ang kanyang discipline, work ethics, at napaka-down-to-earth na tao. I will never forget the kindness he showed us from day one up to this day. His patience amidst pandemic and his helping hand inspires us all. I could truly say that he is born to be a leader. Salamat po, Ambassador. You are a blessing to each one of us here in Singapore. Saludo po kami sa inyo, Amba.
Sa SGPE family, alam ko na malulungkot tayo lahat sa pag-alis ni Sir. Una-una, lahat ng pinakita niyang kabaitan, kabutihan, at malasakit sa atin lahat sa buong Philippine Embassy. At siguradong mamimiss natin siya, lalo ako, lagi araw-araw akong kasama siya. Kaya wala akong masasabi kay Sir sa lahat ng pagtulong niya sa atin sa lahat sa embahada. Nagawa niya lahat kung ano ang dapat na maayos sa embahada at sa maraming pagbabago sa residence. Kaya napakalungkot natin pag-alis ni Sir.
Hi, sir. First of all, I would like to congratulate you for a job well done in your ambassadorship and for spearheading SGPE from the ASEAN in 2018 to the 50 years bilateral relations between Singapore and the Philippines, and most especially during the pandemic years. Your guidance, leadership, and determination to achieve things was exceptional. I would like to thank you for the trust you have bestowed upon me as your Chief of Staff. As we head back to the Philippines, I wish you more strength and good health to be able to carry on with your plans, especially of putting up your own soup kitchen for the less fortunate. Finally, another big congratulations to you for being presented the Presidential Sikatuna Award. Your SGPE family is happy and proud of you.
Si Amba ay naging isang magandang ehemplo ng pagiging ama ng embahada. He is fair to everybody and makes sure that he hears all sides before making any decisions. Hindi ko makakalimutan ay ang kanyang pagpapakita ng pagiging kalmado kahit sa gitna ng mga pagsubok. Salamat, Amba, for all your guidance and always making sure that not only the welfare of our fellow Filipinos here in Singapore are well taken care of, but most especially each and every personnel working at the Philippine Embassy in Singapore.
Si Ambassador Yap ay isang katangi-tanging pinuno. Siya ay masipag, napakahusay, isang visionary at talaga naman pong nagsilbing inspirasyon po sa amin sa embahada. Ipamalas niya kung paano maging isang leader in the most trying of circumstances, lalo na nung nagkaroon kami ng pagsubok, mga hamon na kinaharap noong overseas elections. So he took one for the team even if he was on leave that time. Maraming salamat po, Amba, sa napakaraming bagay. Kasama na po ang pagbibigay sa akin ng pagkakataon na maging bahagi ng Singapore PE. Maraming salamat, sir, sa suporta, paggabay, pagtitiwala at sa marami pa pong bagay. Hangad ko po.
I have worked with Ambassador Joseph Yap only for a little more than a couple of months. But in that brief period, I was able to see how inspiring and effective he is as a leader. Although he often speaks in a soft and gentle voice, he nevertheless commands the respect of anyone he deals with. Because he had excelled in a different field before joining the Foreign Service, he has been able to bring to diplomacy some fresh perspectives and some novel approaches in the conduct of international relations. I therefore find it unfortunate that I will be able to work with him only for a little while. So, Ambassador, thank you so much for everything, and all the best to you, sir, for the next chapter of your journey.
Thank you for all the...
Thank you very much po pala kay AO. Thank you very much for helping me to get some of this video. Sir, any last words for our embassy staff? You seem to be still emotional until now.
I told them yesterday at the farewell they gave to me.
Do you normally hear these kinds of words from them, or
No,
it's or they're kind of or in any other gatherings previously, or eto lang talaga, kumbaga ngayon mo lang naririnig yung mga ibang mga nasasabi na nila?
I think it's not usual naman that you're in your daily dealings that you will hear that. So I'm very touched by what I heard. So I'm glad that I was able naman in some small way to lead the embassy and hopefully be able to that we were able to achieve something together. But I'm glad. I'm glad that I'm at least leaving with some not only achievement but also some that I hopefully touch some lives positively.
I would like to also personally thank you, sir, for always allowing Rated J. I mean, we've started 2.5 or maybe 2.5 years ago, and the embassy has so been open to collaborating with us and allowing us to interview you, to interview the rest of the other officials. Of course, sir, hindi magiging kahit pa paano successful ang Rated J kung hindi din sa pamumuno niyo, sir, for allowing them really to be of our partner. And I'm really very happy to be of service to the embassy and service to the Filipinos through our programs. And personally, sir, I would say na kayo po yung, I'm an engineer by profession, but you are the one who really helped me to achieve my dream of being a legit journalist dahil sa pagtulong na rin ng embahada sa akin sa lahat ng mga nagiging programa namin na katuwang ang embahada. So even after you leave, I promise that we will continue to really be partners with the embassy in giving real and truthful information to our kababayans para sa kanilang mga for them to know how to deal with their activities while they are here in Singapore. So to encapsulate all of this, sir, I was thinking, ano ba ang iriregalo ko kay Amba? Kasi lahat na ata meron na siya. So I bought something for you, sir. It's a small gift that I have just done. As you can see, it's a USB. So, everything here that we've covered mula nung day 1 na nagko-cover na kami, lahat ng guesting nyo, lahat ng mga activities nyo na na-cover namin ni Das, ay nandito siya, sir. So, maliit lang yan, sir, so pwede nyo ilagay dyan sa luggage nyo later on, sir. So, I hope that this will encapsulate all the memories that you have with Rated J and of course with Singapore for the past 4.5 years, sir. Okay, ito po yung aming kaunting regalo po sa inyo.
Thank you very much. This is very this is very useful. Cover everything.
Yeah, it's all there, sir. It's all there, sir. Including yung napanood nyo ngayon, sir. Nandyan na rin yan, sir. So, pwede nyo panoorin ulit yung mga sinabi ng ating mga kababayan. Okay. And of course, yung mga opisyalis natin dito sa embassy. Sir, last words na lamang po para sa ating mga kababayan at sa lahat ng mga nanonood. Your last words, sir.
Basically, as I said earlier, I think I'm very glad that I was able to have this chance to work as the ambassador here. And again, I encourage everybody to continue to don't be afraid to approach the embassy. We're really here to serve our kababayans, and it's not just some hollow pronouncements, but it's really meant to be the purpose of the Philippine Embassy here. So I hope naman that over the years I have imparted that to the team here in SGPE, and I hope that our kababayans will not hesitate to approach the embassy for whatever they need. We're not perfect, but we are always striving to do our best and striving to do better. So I think if we work with each other with openness and with that kind of thought in mind, then I think we will be able to achieve many things together. So that's all the message that I have. And I still hope to be coming to Singapore once in a while. So
For sure, sir.
we'll be able to see and talk to meet up with some of you in the future.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir, for all the things that you have done for us. And mabuhay ka, sir. All the best, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Marami pong salamat. Yan po si Ambassador Joseph Del Yap. Alright, mula po dito sa Singapore, ako po muli si June Rigonan. Abangan nyo kami sa susunod na Sabado sa mga pinakabago, pinakamakabuluhan at mga napapanong impormasyon at talakayan ang tunay na public service na hatid namin para sa inyo. Mula sa programang ginawa ng mga Overseas Filipino para sa kapwa Overseas Filipino, ito ang Weekends with Rated J. Susunod na po ang He Said, She Said. Makakasama na natin ang aking partner na si Dazeline Zapata Pinlac. Susunod na po yan. Thank you for watching our program. Please do like and share this video. Don't forget to watch our other videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Salamat, Karita J.